We make savory high protein bars made with grass-fed beef, pasture-raised pork, turkey. If you look at it in black and white, you don't actually need fiber. Personally, for me, dairy makes up a huge part of my diet. The more meat I am eating, healthier I'm getting.
This is Catch-Ups in My Kitchen, the catch-up you need every week in order to look, feel, and be the best version of yourself. Join me in my kitchen every week as I speak to a new guest about all things food, health, and wellness. Whether it's a specialist in their field, an inspiring story, or just a big girly catch-up full of all the recommendations, tips, and advice. In my kitchen, we talk about it all. Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Catch-Ups in My Kitchen with me, Georgia Simmons, host of the podcast. In my kitchen this week, we are joined by Matt, the founder of Roam, a real food snack brand which does beef bars. So in this episode, we are going into the power of consuming meat. Now, I am majority plant-based, and so this was a really, really interesting episode for me. We dive into the power of whole foods and kind of the controversy around meat eating versus kind of plant-based, the ancestral diet. We kind of dive into it a bit more, and I valued Matt's views a lot. He spoke a lot of sense. He comes from a background of nutrition. A lot of what he says is very backed up, but we come from very different worlds and have very different opinions on things. But what we both agree on is the power of eating whole foods and eating seasonally and locally. So that's the overarching message. I think what Roam have created is amazing. A snack based on real foods, no additives, preservatives, lots of sugar, long list of ingredients. They believe in real foods with small ingredients, which I think we can all agree on. There is so much value in this episode. I really think you're going to love it. It's kind of controversial in points, talking about, meat, dairy, all the subjects that are kind of hot topics. Especially coming from a plant-based background, I was really intrigued by some of these comments and discussions, but there's a lot of value here, which I think you're going to love. So without further ado, let's go and join Matt in the kitchen. Matt, welcome to my kitchen. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Do you mind giving a quick elevator pitch, who you are and what you do?
Yes, of course. So my name's Matt. I'm the founder of Roam. We make savory high protein bars made with grass-fed beef, pasture-raised pork, turkey. Very much an alternative to like your chocolate-covered protein bars. 5-6 natural ingredients, more protein per calorie than any other bar on the market. No preservatives, so super natural. Really kind of the reason why we exist is to just give people that natural savory alternative when they're going to try and pick up like a high protein snack that they want to eat on the go, or the fridge is looking a bit bare or the cupboards are looking bare at home.
I love that. I do feel like the snack market is so interesting, and those snacks that are claimed healthy and good options often aren't. So I'm excited to kind of like dig into this a bit deeper. But before we do, we have a quick fire round about all things food.
Sure.
So what is your favorite restaurant in London?
Goodman. It's a steak restaurant and it's incredible.
Okay, nice. Yeah. I thought you were going to say there's another Flatiron.
Flatiron's good. What's the other one that's very good as well? The Chop House. It's got locations in Soho and Shoreditch.
Okay.
The name will come back to me. But Goodman is incredible.
Okay, and where's that?
They've got two. There's one on Maddox Street and then there's one in the city over in near Bank, I think.
Okay, amazing.
Incredible old-fashioned steakhouse, really good provenance, great sourcing of the beef. You can get all of the traditional sides that come with a steak as well. Great wine list if you're into your wine. But yeah, Goodman is my favorite place in London. It's home away from home.
I love it. What is one wellness brand or product that you can't live without?
Well, other than my own, Roam, of course. I really like Repower electrolytes. I don't know if you've seen them.
Not Repower.
Yeah, so they are, I think they grew in South Africa and now have expanded into the UK. Very similar to Element electrolytes, very clean, no sugar. nice flavors, and I sweat a lot because I like training. So I train a lot. I eat a pretty much, predominantly whole food diet, and so sometimes you're struggling to get enough sodium, even if you're adding salt to your foods. And so literally adding a high sodium electrolyte to my kind of regimen once, sometimes twice a day, depending on activity, has really been a game changer in terms of like cognition, energy levels, also just like general, I think, digestive health as well. One of the things that people don't associate with dehydration is the way that it can affect your digestive system.
No, I love that. I think electrolytes are huge. Also, like sometimes you're tired and actually you're just dehydrated and you haven't got enough.
And there's often times, where it gets to 4 or 5 o'clock in the day. If I've been on the move a lot, I haven't maybe hydrated as much as I would like to with water. And you can sometimes get to that point and it's like, man, I do feel very tired. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a bit of a headache. Also kind of like feeling a bit like unsettled, digestive wise. And if you just sit, have some water, have some electrolytes as well, literally it's a cure-all for me personally anyway. 45 minutes later, I'm like, that's what I needed.
Agree. Okay, what is your hangover meal?
Hangover meal, I'm very lucky because it's quite hard to give me a hangover in the first place. But hangover meal would definitely be some really high quality protein, maybe eggs, some good quality bacon, sausages and things, carbs as well. So some nice sourdough breads or some, rice or something like that. Not that you eat rice that often in the morning. But honestly, it's probably a really high quality English breakfast. I love that. Would be awesome for me.
Okay, what's your favourite coffee shop?
Favourite coffee shop? That's a really good answer. It's probably my kitchen at home. I'll give them a plug. I have a subscription with Exhale Coffee. I'm not sure if you've ever seen them before.
I have.
Love the brand, love the position, love the kind of whole message. Every single morning before I leave to get in my car to go to work, I literally make myself a 6-shot espresso.
Oh wow!
It's that's the only caffeine I have in the day, and it's like I drink it on the way to work, and it's just like, man, this is incredible.
That's so good. Are you into bulletproof coffee? Are you adding butter or anything?
No, I'm very much a purist. Just literally espresso, nothing added, no sugar. As bitter as you can get it, as black as my soul, as they say. And it's really good coffee. If I'm not drinking Exhale Coffee, then just any kind of, artisan, high quality coffee shop that's like got a nice vibe.
Nice.
Pouring the coffee out of a La Marzocco coffee machine type thing. That's always my kind of like, have they got a La Marzocco? They must know what they're doing.
I love that. I actually needed a coffee bean recommendation, so I'm going to try Exhale.
Can't recommend them enough. Okay,
I'm going to take that. Which food for you is a complete no-no?
From like a nutrition side of things, I honestly don't really have one. I think fortunately, whether it is fortunately or whether it's just kind of born out of habit, and I generally tend to crave things like meat, high quality foods, but so I don't really kind of get cravings for anything that's like a bad food. I guess like a complete no-no, I would just say refined carbohydrates that don't have any protein in it is always going to be something that's like not going to serve you any purpose. Because if you sit there and eat a bag of crisps, obviously they taste good and they're enjoyable to eat, but they don't really serve any purpose other than just like putting in short energy. An hour later you're going to feel like you want to eat something else. You're generally going to overeat on them. That's kind of like a really poor answer, but I don't really have one. A no-no food. I think that when you're looking at your nutrition as a whole, foods that go off your like kind of plan should always just be kind of part of it.
Yeah.
But they should make up a small part of your general kind of eating plan or your way of eating.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But I think, crisps is one of those where it's like, I always call it sounds bad, I call it like empty carbs. It's just like, there's no value there apart from short-term flavour.
It's a good term, and there's many foods that fall into that category. And, it's not to say that you should never eat that food. It's just knowing that I'm going to eat this because, I want to have it with a pint, bag of crisps with a pint. And I'm just like chilling out, watching a game of rugby or football.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's like kind of not doing you any good. And it's like, it makes up a very small part of your nutrition. So
yeah, very true. And lastly, what is your favourite dish to cook at home?
Favorite dish to cook at home is like a steak with like homemade roasted potatoes or something like that, like cooked in either goose fat or ghee. Like I'm a real old fashioned, like I love steak, chips. I love like steak and mashed potato, steak and veg. You see where I'm going with this? I love grilled meats. So, but like other than that, we're approaching that kind of time of the year now where it's like moving into autumn time. Most Saturdays I'll kind of cook like a big chili or a big like kind of casserole or something with chicken, bacon, vegetables in. It's just like that slow food, where you can put it on, you sit back, don't have to do anything else, and then it's ready. And then when you have it, it feels very nourishing. It feels very wholesome. So it's just very simple foods, letting the kind of ingredients speak for itself.
Love that. Yeah. Hey guys, I quickly wanted to interrupt the episode to talk to you about an app that I have recently downloaded. It is called OneZone, and it is a curated discovery app where you can find all the best restaurants, bars, and cafes in London. You can find the restaurants, book it, and check out the menu all in one place. I have recently been to Canteen in Notting Hill, which I absolutely loved, and I've also discovered the corner shop at 180, which I am equally obsessed with. Whether you're looking for the perfect spot for a girly catch-up or even a date night vibe, OneZone honestly have it all. I really recommend you download the app because it will completely change your lifestyle here in London. Click the link in the show notes to download the app, and when you do, let me know some of the places you discover. I know you're going to love it. Now let's get back to the episode. Love that. So following on the meat journey, I'd like to talk about your kind of journey to Rome and how the kind of idea came about and like your frustrations with the kind of snack market as a whole, which led to Rome.
Yeah, so it's probably worth noting that I have dabbled and experimented with just about any way of like eating, just purely out of interest. Someone who probably like yourself, always consuming stuff on social media around nutrition, diet, training, lifestyle, always reading things. I've also done a lot of formal education as well, both down more of the sports science route and then also more of like the kind of functional medicine side of things. And over the last probably 10, 15 years of my life, it's been an incredibly busy, demanding period where I've been building a family. I've got 3 beautiful children. You've been trying to kind of make your way in life around like, building your life. You've been trying to build your career as well. And that just generally leads to not much time. And so you do find yourself relying on convenience snacks here and there to try and fill the gaps, whether it's when you're on a train, when you're on a plane, in between meetings, sitting in a car park, waiting for your kid to finish ballet or something. You're relying on these snacks. And through this period, when I've been doing that, it's everything was always very sweet and everything was synthetic. And as someone who has always tried to eat animal protein as the focus of every single meal and snack, when I wanted something on the go, it was difficult for me to find that. Like I said, all of the high protein nutrition bars were often chocolate covered protein bars. They had good macros, 20 grams of protein plus per serving, but there was a long ingredients list, 20, 25 ingredients, lots of artificial sweeteners, preservatives, emulsifiers. But they had good macros. They had good, 20 grams of protein. Everything that was like kind of branded up as being all natural, was often very calorific. So maybe 350 calories in a small bar, and you'd only actually get around 9 grams of protein. So whilst they were using more natural ingredients, it was like full of nuts, seeds, coconut oil. So lots of energy, not much protein. So that kind of didn't really work for me either. And then anything that was like a meat snack was either very inconvenient because it had to be refrigerated, and then also often had lots of artificial preservatives and often lots of added sugar. So that didn't work. And then all of the jerkies and biltongs, not all of the jerkies and biltongs, but many of the jerkies and biltongs that you could get in high street stores were often low quality, lots of sugar on them, sodium nitrate, which was a preservative I didn't really want to be consuming regularly. And so I was like, someone just needs to create a bar that's made of meat, very minimally processed. And so when I say minimally processed, like 6 ingredients or less, using no artificial preservatives, no sweeteners, no binders, no fillers, removing all of that stuff and just having ingredients that actually people have got in their cupboards at home. You could sit there and make our bars in your own oven if you really wanted to, by just combining a handful of ingredients and sticking them in the oven at a low temperature. And so that's what I wanted to make, but at scale, in a really convenient format that people could just literally grab out of the cupboard, stick it in their back pocket and go off for the day. And they know that in those times when they get caught short, it's like, okay, I don't have to rely on crap that I'm not really comfortable eating. I can just pull a Rome bar out, have it with an apple or a banana, or some cucumber sticks or whatever. And I've had something that's natural and that works, with getting that protein in, that natural source of protein.
No, I get that so much. And like, I've come from like a plant-based background, but I really appreciate all that you've just said. And I think I'm not a big snacker. I'm a big 3 meal a day person. But whenever I do want a snack or I'm on the go, I also have that struggle where I'm like, what do I go for? It's so hard. I mean, now I eat eggs and other kind of animal sources, but I'm kind of now at the position where I'm like, well, a hard-boiled egg's better than anything else I can find. But again, that's not always convenient or accessible. It is a real challenge. And all these bars look great and all the words on the front are so compelling: high protein, low sugar, like chocolate chip, all of these kind of things. And you're like, oh, this sounds great. But you look at the back and you're like, what are all these words? Like, they don't even sound like English. And it is a real struggle. It's a real struggle. And the snack market is, crowded with technically junk in a way, which is claimed to be healthy. So there's a massive, massive gap. One ingredient that you guys have added is whey. And I'd love to kind of go into that, because as a high protein bar, adding whey, I was like, oh, so that's like double protein. What was the thought process behind that? Yeah,
it's a question that people ask us a lot. And really the reason why we use whey is because, just pulling back to my point before around, if you look at the synthetic bars, I'm just going to use an example, Grenade. And by the way, if you look at a Grenade bar, do I think Grenade is a terrible brand? I think, no, they're not a terrible brand. I think that it's a protein bar, or it's a chocolate bar that gives you 20 grams of protein, whereas maybe a Mars bar doesn't give you that protein. And so if you do want a chocolate bar, but you also want to be a bit healthy, then eat a Grenade bar. Do I think you should be eating Grenade every single day? Absolutely not. So if you look at those more sports nutrition based brands or performance nutrition based brands, they're generally trying to get 20 grams of protein into a serving, or as close to 20 grams of protein into a serving as possible. And so when we developed Rome, we wanted to look at the most natural way that we could develop a bar that had the similar macros to your traditional protein bar. And so we were looking to try and get 20 grams of protein into a 45 gram bar. It's impossible to do that by just using meat alone. because meat is not 100% protein. If you look at whey protein, it's near enough 98, 99% protein. Also, when you look at whey from a manufacturing and a production point of view for us, it's a way of us being able to produce our bars at scale and not use any preservatives. Because when we produce our products, we basically have to get them, we have to be able to bind them together, and we have to be able to get them to a point where the water content in the bar is safe for us to be able to package them without any preservatives, any artificial preservatives, and they stay like that for 12 to 18 months. And one of the ways that we do that, and I can't go into too many details, it's quite an innovative way that we do it, is using whey protein. Because the way that whey acts when you use it in cooking, it helps with basically sucking up water. And also whey protein is very misunderstood for the most part. People often see whey protein as this thing that's like not good for them. And what I would say to people is Google the health benefits of whey protein. And you'll be able to find really robust pieces of education around the health benefits of whey protein on not just muscle mass, but gut health. And these are multiple studies backing up whey protein's positive impacts on gut health. Looking at the positive impacts on your immune system that whey has, and most of those are linked to the effects that they have within gut health and your digestive system. Whey protein is probably the healthiest, and I can say this, like, I don't usually talk in absolutes, but I will. It's probably the healthiest whole food supplement that we have available to us, and it's without doubt the most studied. It's up there with creatine in terms of how many studies it has behind it. And the reason it has so many studies behind it is because it's been in the food chain for such a long time compared to a lot of other supplements. When whey protein starts to, when the health benefits of whey protein start to become negated or degraded, is when you start adding a lot of artificial sweeteners to it, is when you start adding a lot of different gums to it to improve the thickness and the mouthfeel, so that when somebody adds milk or water to it, it feels like they're drinking some indulgent milkshake all of a sudden. If you just have literally unflavored whey protein in water or milk, it tastes nothing like the commercial powders that you will buy that are like cookies and cream, double chocolate caramel, strawberry birthday cake, and all these things. So natural whey protein is a superfood.
Okay.
And if you just Google it with an open mind and look into the health benefits of whey, you'll be like, this just like completely bulldozes everything else out of the park. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, it's an ingredient that I definitely want us to use in our bar. And I think it's a very unique ingredient.
Because I say whey's got a really bad reputation.
It does.
But I guess you answered that with like, it's the kind of other things it's paired with that give it the bad reputation, not whey itself.
And the one thing I would always ask of people is, why is whey not good for us? Can you tell me why whey is not good for us? And often people say, oh, dairy. Why is dairy not good for us? Look at all of the populations that consume a lot of dairy, and they're very healthy populations. And people say dairy is inflammatory. Tell me how inflammation works. Inflammation. So I studied sports science. I studied functional medicine. I couldn't sit here today and tell you how inflammation works.
No.
I literally couldn't.
No.
It would be really, really dumb of me to say, this is how inflammation works. Inflammation is a natural process that's very complicated, and it's not triggered by one single thing that you're consuming. And so, yeah, people have this view of whey protein that it's not clean or that it's not healthy for us. All I would say is just please Google health benefits of whey protein. Look at it with an open mind. We're talking about unflavored whey protein here.
Yeah.
Like
it's the flavorings.
not ultra processed whey protein and the reason it's being ultra processed is because it's had a lot of artificial flavors, sweeteners, emulsifiers, thickeners, binders, gums added to it. And that's when it starts to become less healthy for us, the more things that are added to it.
Yeah. So funny you touched on dairy, because that's one of my questions actually. Is it like you promote dairy? Like I did a deep dive on Rome socials, which by the way is great. I was like looking into it, and you talk a lot about dairy and you promote dairy, and I feel like we're in a world which doesn't promote dairy. I don't consume dairy, I'm dairy intolerant, which is a whole different thing. But I am of the belief that we don't process dairy as well now as we did before. And I feel like we're not supposed to consume as much dairy as we do. But then, so that was kind of like my belief. But then you're also hearing things of people drinking raw milk, and you're hearing there's more on the ancestral diet I want to touch on again in more detail. But these topics are rising again. So we've had the whole rise of like the plant milks and almond milk and all those kind of things. And now we're hearing dairy being brought up again. And I don't have milk. I do have like Parmesan and some cheeses, but don't have milk or cream or anything like that. But why are you so pro-dairy, and what are your thoughts on us all being kind of anti, and now kind of dairy's coming back again?
So things do go in trends, and that's why we're seeing, dairy coming round again as not being something that we should be scared of. But absolutely everything with nutrition is subjective. And so if, you are sitting there and you are genuinely lactose intolerant and you cannot tolerate dairy, then don't eat dairy, because that is going to put a strain on your digestive system. And that strain will then lead to other, negative impacts down the line. It's not something that you need to do. But if you are someone who can tolerate dairy and dairy doesn't upset you, like me, for example, then it's absolutely a food group that has a huge amount of benefit to your diet. Because first things first, we all struggle to consume enough minimally processed whole food protein sources. Protein's king of the macronutrients. If you think of like a top-down approach to nutrition, the number one thing that I can say everybody, doesn't matter whether it's a child, it's male, female, adult, elderly person, should focus on as their number one principle is just getting enough protein each day. It's a really simple thing to focus on. Generally, if you focus on that one simple principle of like just get enough protein throughout the day, make it the focus of each meal and snack, most other things then start falling into place just automatically, and you don't need to think about your health or nutrition 24/7. Because if you're thinking about your health and nutrition 24/7, that just becomes quite stressful. And then that's not what life is about. Okay, we should absolutely be mindful of it, but that's not what life is about. Dairy is an incredible source of protein. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. As with most animal-based sources of protein, protein is just the tip of the iceberg. You've got this whole range of essential nutrients aside from protein that exist exclusively in these foods. And so if we're looking about getting the most bang for buck from our nutrition for the amount of time that we spend thinking about it, then if you prioritize animal sources of protein, so dairy, eggs, meat, fish, to get your protein, you're also going to get just about every other essential vitamin, mineral, fatty acid that you need to be healthy whilst you're getting your protein. And so it's like, you don't need to think about all of these complex concoctions of like, well, I need to have my wheatgrass for this and my spirulina for this. And my, X supplement for that, it becomes very simple. Nutrition becomes very simple. So my thoughts on dairy, to pull it back again, is that if you eliminate dairy, you're making it a lot harder, not impossible, but a lot harder for you to get that protein intake on point through using animal-based sources of protein. And also then you're also cutting off an option for you to get all of those other essential nutrients, things like B12, zinc, vitamin K, vitamin K2, all of those things, they exist in dairy products.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I definitely see all that. But then I'm like, it's so confusing for the average person on socials to be reading that 1 minute dairy is now great, but a minute ago it was like, we can't digest it, we can't process it. You hear stories of people cutting out dairy and their skin clearing up, or cutting out dairy and this is fixed and that is fixed. Yeah. And dairy, I feel like, is the one thing that people cut. If they're cutting something, dairy often goes first. And so I think for people now, it's so confusing. And then raw milk's coming about and you're like, oh my goodness, what's this? So I think for the average kind of person doing their research, they're probably like, oh, so I shouldn't have almond milk. And my dad's a prime example. My dad is someone who, you tell him something, he will do it. He's like, tell me how to be the healthiest version and I will literally do it. Obviously, there isn't like one rule book. There's many rule books for different people. But he was having almond milk at one point, Alpro. And I looked at it and I was like, Dad, you know what? I think you're fine on normal milk. Like I have almond milk, but I would go for Plenish where you haven't got as many of the additives. Alpro's fine, but like, I don't know. And I'm like, I think you'll be okay. And he's like, oh, okay. I thought I was doing the right thing going almond. And I was like, oh, it is so hard and can be so confusing. But I agree that there are a lot of kind of nutritional value to dairy. But I also believe that like not everyone can tolerate it and digest it as well. But again, my brother has so much dairy in his diet, absolutely fine. Yeah. So I guess it is very, like you said at the beginning, subjective.
Yeah, and also, what we need to remember as well, and everyone could benefit from remembering this and just reminding themselves from time to time, is that, like it or not, we do consume a lot of education through social media now, okay? Which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But it's important to remember that a lot of social media is storytelling, personal stories, okay? And so if you then are following people that are going through some sort of change or phase of personal development, and part of that personal development was, hey, like I removed dairy and it cleared up all of these things, like that absolutely may be the case for them. But it doesn't mean that you actually need to do that as well, because it comes back to everything is subjective, right? And sometimes what we see on socials, that can actually become a reality for us, but the reality is that that's not the reality. That's just what some people that we follow on Instagram or on TikTok, that's the journey that they're going through. So, personally for me, dairy makes up a huge part of my diet. My favorite types of dairy are kefir, so milk kefir. I literally drink it every day.
Yeah, I love kefir.
Whey, I use it every day. Casein, I use it every day. I think they're the two highest quality protein powders that you can use. And again, I use unflavored versions, and I prefer to flavor them with things like honey or fresh fruit, so berries in a smoothie, things like that. Or I use the electrolytes as, if I'm having a post-workout shake with whey and casein, I'll literally use a sachet of electrolytes to flavor it.
Yeah.
So I love, whey, casein, kefir, natural yogurt, Parmesan cheese, cheddar, cottage cheese. I think cottage cheese is a superfood, like literally a superfood, and it's so cheap, it's so accessible to so many people, and I just think it's literally a superfood. And if you look at you look at a lot of cultures that are still living quite a traditional way of life, like lots of Eastern European countries, cottage cheese, kefir, and yogurt is literally a staple in their diet. You know, these are populations that generally don't have that much disposable income to spend on diet, but they're very healthy people. You know, they may not look like bodybuilders, and they may not be shredded and have great teeth and be tanned, but they're statistically quite disease-free.
Yeah.
And they're consuming a lot of these traditional types of dairy.
Yeah. I think on those types, like some of the ones you mentioned, like Greek yogurt, I have all the time. And I mentioned I don't have dairy, but again, this is obvious, but it wasn't obvious to me for a long time, is that traditional Greek style yogurt is low in lactose because it's strained. Fermented. Same with kefir.
Yeah.
So those two sources, if you struggle to break down dairy, which I do, those are amazing. And I have those a lot and love that. And same with Parmesan, that lactose level is low. So I think those three, if someone is cut back on dairy but wants to have a lot of the nutritional benefits of dairy, like you mentioned, I think those three are particularly good to kind of start with.
And also the Dutch and the Swiss cheeses are also naturally lactose free. And a lot of the West Country cheddars, so from your neck of the woods, Somerset, are lactose free, naturally lactose free as well. And then also, if you're looking at, if you do want to use whey powders, whey concentrate, if you're intolerant to lactose, most people, if they're having just a natural whey concentrate, it's pretty much lactose free. So I would be surprised if it triggers you.
Yeah.
And if it does, try a whey isolate, because that's got even less lactose in it.
Interesting.
What I do find does trigger people though is the artificial sweeteners.
Yeah.
The binders, the fillers, the gums, and all of those sorts of things when you're having them every day.
Yeah.
That's what I do find triggers people, and that quite often skews people's perception of, well, I can't drink whey because it bloats me or it gives me an upset stomach. But actually, maybe it's not the whey. Let's take a step back. Is it actually all of the artificial sweeteners that you're having? Because you're having sweeteners in the shake, you're having a protein bar, you're having this high protein dessert or this high protein cookie. People don't realize the cumulative effect of all of these things when we have such a reliance on ultra processed food generally.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I think sweeteners, gums, all those are really tough on the body. And I know, like, through some electrolytes I've tried, and I'm like, oh my God, this is really not working for me. Like, and it's the sweeteners in it that just don't work. I want to touch on the ancestral diet, because again, Rome would be a prime snack for someone on that diet. But I know, hearing a bit about your diet, you follow a very meat heavy diet, but I wouldn't say it's ancestral carnivore per se compared to some people. What are your thoughts on the strict ancestral diet? Because I have thoughts, but I'd love to hear yours.
Oh, I'd love to hear yours. But I think that all of these diets, the thing that's great about them is that it puts health first. Whether it's right or wrong, it puts health first. Even looking at a vegan diet, I absolutely wholeheartedly disagree with someone following a vegan diet, but at least it's well-intentioned. And health and fitness is a journey, and we all go through these different stages of the journey until we hopefully get to a point where we find something that works and that is sustainable. In terms of an ancestral diet, no, I don't follow that approach, but I do think that it's very healthy. It depends how strict we're talking. If we're talking about, let's just start with the strict carnivore diet. Is it something that I would ever follow? No, because I love food. I enjoy all different types of food at different times. If I'm out with mates, I'll have a burger. I'll have 2 burgers and chips and sit there and be the happiest man on the planet with probably a pint of beer or something as well. If I'm with my kids, I'll go out for pizza and have pizza and enjoy it. So I could never follow a carnivore diet. But if you look at the fundamentals of a carnivore diet, and this is why people get quite triggered by it, and this is me included, because I spent a lot of years and a lot of time studying nutrition, and a lot of money, thousands of pounds. And when I first saw the carnivore diet, this is years ago now, well before COVID, I looked at this guy that was following a carnivore diet and I was like, it made me so angry.
Yeah.
I was angry because of the amount of time that I had spent learning about nutrition and the amount of knowledge that I had built up. And actually, when I looked at it, everything he was saying went against that. And I was like, this guy's an idiot. I'm furious that he's saying this stuff. It's making me really angry. Then over time, as I kind of looked into it further, I tried to look at it with an open set of eyes and just be open to this. What's he talking about here? And also my diet evolved further and further to becoming simpler and simpler, like just literally simple ingredients, single ingredient foods. A meal would consist of 1 to 3 single ingredient foods. I'm talking about some beef, sweet potatoes, and some cucumber. That was a meal. So I pulled it back more and more, and I was like, the more meat I am eating, the healthier I'm getting. I have more energy. My body is changing in the way that it hasn't changed for years, and I've trained in a gym since I was 15. I can do more in the day. I can pull 16-hour days every day. And Mo, who's here, sat listening to the podcast, can attest to that. Every day. And I was like, there's something in this. And when you look at the paper, black and white, look at what's in beef, for example. Beef contains every single thing that we need to be healthy and thrive. It does. And you actually don't need fiber. I feel a lot better eating fiber. So I do eat a lot of fiber. I mean, I eat a lot of fruit. I love fruit. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat a lot of sweet potato. I don't eat too many grains. But I feel better for including those in my diet. But if you look at it in black and white, you don't actually need fiber. And again, I just encourage people to go out and do their own research with just an open mind and look at it. And once again, I eat a lot of fiber. So if you're looking at that and you're looking at people that maybe are trying to heal from something, it could be like Crohn's, or it could be ulcerative colitis, it could be other autoimmune issues. Probably the fastest way to them healing themselves and like regaining their health is doing a mega elimination diet. It's really difficult to do in the modern age because there's a lot of temptation around. Also, it's not massively convenient, and we do have to rely on convenience a lot of the time. So if they can just take everything out and just go back to eating meat, then they will get everything that they need to be healthy. It will take all of the things out that are potentially triggering some of their illnesses, and they will eventually heal themselves from most things. So yeah, I mean, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but I was incredibly triggered by this ancestral diet and this carnivore diet when I first heard about it years ago. But if you look at it with a fresh pair of eyes and an open mind, there's actually a lot to it.
No, it is really interesting. I was really, really triggered by it when I first saw it, and I was like, what is this? I do agree with a lot of that you're saying, but I'm also like the fact that some people who are very, very strict don't eat like tomatoes, don't eat a lot of veg. I'm like, I just believe that veg, like diversity. I'm big for diversity and I'm big for whole foods. Those are my like pillars.
So one thing, I'm going to jump in, and I love tomatoes.
Yeah.
I literally buy these tomatoes in my food shop each week that come straight from Italy on ocado, And I flipping love them.
This one simple thing has completely changed my life, and that is mouth taping. I have never been one to prioritize sleep, but in January I started mouth taping and my sleep and my productivity skyrocketed. The deep restorative sleep you get from mouth taping is completely insane. Nasal breathing is the way we should be breathing at night, and mouth taping really, really promotes this. I wanted to bring it to more people, so I started Healthy Habits to bring you a luxurious and aesthetic mouth tape that you can use every day and feel proud to use. If you're intrigued on the benefits or want to give mouth taping a go, this is your sign to do so. Click the link in the show notes and use the code CATCHUPS20 to try mouth tape today. I promise you will never sleep better, and just thank me later. Now let's get back to the episode. Yeah.
Right, I eat them every day on salads, right? But what's in a tomato that we actually do need? We need to survive and live and thrive. What's in a tomato?
I actually don't even know.
And I can tell you there is nothing in a tomato. And again, I love them. I eat them all the time.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at like just the black and white, there's nothing in the tomato that we need. And do you think that we could have got tomatoes all year round 10,000 years ago? Here? No. We couldn't.
Yeah, and I definitely am a big one on seasonality and locality. Yeah. Huge on that. I've been an Oddbox subscriber for like pre-COVID. And I'm like, I eat what is in season. And I love that. Like whether it's, sadly in the winter, I get Swedes all the time. And I'm like, oh, here we go again, another Swede. And I'm like, but I know it's what is right for me to be eating right now due to the season and where I live. So I'm like, yes, I do that.
What we need as human beings is we need amino acids. Mm-hmm. You can't live without essential amino acids. Okay? You can't live. You're not going to live very long. We need those. We need essential fatty acids. So omega-6, omega-3, omega-9, we need those things. And we need fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamins A, D, E, K. Those are the things that we actually need to live and survive and thrive. All of those things are in animal protein sources. Literally, that is all you need. And are there beneficial compounds in vegetables? You hear people talking about polyphenols. There's different water-soluble vitamins in fruits and vegetables as well. Clearly, there's fiber. Clearly, there is different minerals, potassium, magnesium, things like that. But in terms of what you actually need, it's all in meat.
Yeah, no, but it is kind of wild that I'm just a big one for cutting things out. I mean, I know I'm saying that and I was vegan for a while, but cutting things out because you don't necessarily need them. But I'm just a big one on diversity is key, eating things that are in season, whole food. I just think that if anyone is what do I do? Whole food. No matter whether it's plant or animal. That is probably the best thing anyone can do.
100%. And that's Rome makes meat-based products.
Yeah.
Animal-based products, but we are a real food brand. Yeah. I'll think we sign off every social media video with eat meat, fruit, vegetables, and dairy.
Yeah.
90% of the time, and you're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah. And I think that is the basics. I mean, we're going into the finite kind of detail here, but I think that is the basics. But do you think that one can eat too much meat? Is that a thing?
No. Not if you're eating meat as it was supposed to be eaten. So I'm talking about meat flavored with some salt.
Right.
So if you're having mince with salt, or obviously a cup, you can put some spices on there, paprika, cumin, things like that. If you're eating meat in that sense, no, you can't eat too much meat, because I eat a lot of food. All right, I've got a big appetite. And I can anecdotally tell you that it's impossible for me to overeat on meat, because those signals that your brain sends to your gut when you're eating meat as the focus of every single meal or snack, they happen very quickly and they're very strong. And your brain tells your gut very quickly that don't eat anymore, you're getting full. All right. And it works in a similar way to, you hear about all of these GLP-1 inhibitors, medications. It works in a very similar way to that, in a kind of complex set of signaling systems within your gut-brain axis. Okay. Also, I can tell you from just working with a larger group of people when I was working as a nutritionist, that the moment that people start focusing on meat with every meal or snack, it really does become impossible to overeat on it, because of those natural signals, or that signaling pathway that happens when you're eating a lot of animal-based protein. So no, I don't think it is possible to overeat on it.
What about when people say, you know, high cholesterol, too much sodium, all these things? Because for me, I used to, I remember watching Game Changers. This is like pre me going vegan. Actually, I think I was vegan at the time, but anyway. And I kind of wanted to watch it again, because I'm like, that like really shook up the world a little bit. Everyone was like, oh my God, like you have Arnold Schwarzenegger there being like, I am vegan. And he's there like huge and ripped and like, and now we're hearing all these pro meat stories and facts. And I'm probably 80% plant-based, but I have a few animal sources in there. I don't eat meat. People claim that I'm going to in a minute. Maybe I will, who knows? It is a journey, like we said. But you do hear all these stories about how it is like high cholesterol, and also you hear things about organic and where it's from, where it's sourced.
Yeah.
So there's two kind of questions in one there, but thoughts on the whole high cholesterol, too much salt, not being able to digest it properly, not good for us situation, and then also the organic.
Yeah. All right, let's start on cholesterol. So I have high cholesterol based on the recommendations that are set out by National Health England. I do my bloods twice a year, basic blood work panel. The reason I do it, I'm not a biohacker or anything like that. The reason I do it is just good practice. I'm a dad of 3 kids. I've got to be here for a long time. I can't be going anywhere soon because I've got to look after them. Okay, so it's my duty. I run bloods. High cholesterol's high, compared to the reference ranges every single time. Cholesterol is not a marker that personally I look at in isolation. It's something that you need to look at holistically. And what I mean by that is you need to look at that. So what are your blood triglycerides like levels? And so you need to make sure that that's included in a blood work panel. Blood triglycerides, it's a bit of a mouthful. What's that like? Because that's a bigger indicator of the health of your cardiovascular system. All right, it's circulating triglycerides rather than cholesterol. What's your body composition like? Because again, body composition is the biggest indicator of your chance of developing chronic disease. Body composition. The moment your body composition goes outside of a certain range, you are tenfold higher risk of developing every single chronic disease that we hear about at the moment. Obviously obesity, because that is part of it. Cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cognitive decline, so dementia, Alzheimer's. All of these things are linked to poor body composition. All right, low muscle mass, higher levels of body fat. So cholesterol is not something that I look at when all of those other things, so body composition, circulating triglycerides, all of your other blood markers are in a good, healthy range. Cholesterol is not something I look at, because actually we need cholesterol to make vitamin D in the body. We need it for our hormones, estrogen, testosterone, and they massively impact longevity, those two hormones. And so I don't look at cholesterol, and I don't think that people should. It's not to say that, don't worry about cholesterol. Don't look at cholesterol in isolation. Okay, and audit all of the other parts of your body and lifestyle, as well as cholesterol. So that answers that question.
Yeah.
In terms of sodium, if you're somebody who is eating a predominantly whole food diet, I'd be very surprised if you are over consuming sodium, even if you're salting your food on your own. If you're relying on takeout food, convenience food as the bulk of your diet and nutrition, then you need to be mindful of having too much sodium. But I think that if you're eating a whole food diet, you're active, you're sweating regularly, then it's going to be really difficult for you to have too much sodium. In fact, you're probably going to need more sodium, which is, and experiment with these high sodium electrolytes. They might have a positive impact on your regimen.
Yeah, no, so true. It is so interesting because I think also high cholesterol is a term thrown around a lot, but a lot of people even have high cholesterol just hereditary. And it's a marker that people often look at, but there's so much more depth to it. So that was good to touch on.
And I think it's also, what we need to be mindful of as well is there's a couple of interesting points. And I won't be able to pull up the numbers out of the top of my head just as we're talking now. But if you go away again, research the reference ranges for cholesterol dating back to like the 50s, and look at where it was in the 50s compared to where it is now. In the 50s, the recommendation was much higher. Okay, we had much less cardiovascular disease. We had much less obesity. We had much less cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, dementia. All right, all of those things were far lower in the 50s. As we've moved from the 50s to where we are now, the recommendations have got lower and lower and lower, but all of those chronic diseases have kept getting higher and higher. Now, clearly the populations have been getting bigger and bigger and bigger as well. So I'm not, that could skew things. But also, and I'm not one for conspiracy theories, although I do love kind of banding one about every now and again. What's the highest sold prescription medication globally?
You tell me.
Statins. Statins lower cholesterol.
Right. Okay.
And I do think that big pharma is a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and it's not something that I know anything about. Again, I'm not into conspiracy theories at all. I don't really spend time thinking about them because I can't control them. But there is probably going to be something in huge companies having influence over organizations when there's big money involved.
Yeah.
And that will probably skew what the recommendation ranges are to help sell more drugs.
Yeah. It's really sad to think about that, but it's so true.
But it is true.
Yeah.
And I do think it's something for us to be conscious of, but I don't think we should spend time getting cross about it, or we should spend time worrying about it, because unfortunately not many of us can control it. And we can all make decisions.
Yeah.
And we can all educate ourselves, and we can all research stuff with an open mind, but it's just be mindful of that.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And the last point I want to touch on before our last question is organic. So everyone always says, if you're going to eat meat, invest in your meat sources like you invest in wine, or like you invest in, pick the best source for your budget. And I guess that is the thing, is it? It's got to be budget relative. But I guess organic, or as organic as you can, is the best when it comes to meat.
I think that, like you just said, I think with food, you should always buy the highest quality that you can afford with any food, whether it's vegetables, fruit, meat. I think that where possible, you should always try and buy stuff that's in season. I'm guilty of not buying things that are in season because I love tomatoes from Italy. And, I buy them in my food shop. So I am guilty of not doing that. When it comes to meat, I don't buy organic meat all the time. I buy it if I go to a nice farm shop, and I'm in the farm shop, I see a really nice cut of steak, or some good lamb or whatever. I'll buy it, take it home that night, prepare it, take some time to enjoy it. But generally I don't buy organic meat, because again, I'm feeding a family of 5.
Yeah.
If I was buying organic meat, I'd literally, it adds up, and it's like, for me, that's like it's a barrier. But I know, because I've actually been there, seen these farms that are supplying big food chains, the top 4 supermarkets in the UK, many farms, seen the practices. All of these farms are run by people that are not making much money. All right, they're doing it because their dad did it, and his dad did it, and his dad did it. It's what they know, it's what they love. They take a huge amount of pride in it. They're very committed. They're very committed to good practices. Here in the UK and Europe, we're very lucky in the fact that everything that we eat, even if it's the most basic value in Tesco's, is going to be at least 85% grass-fed. The rest of the time is generally going to be fed on silage, which is like fermented grass. And there might be some cattle feed in there as well to supplement the diets. And the reason why that is because we have quite harsh weather conditions in Europe. It's hard for farmers to have cows out in the field all the time. It's not impossible, but it's hard, especially when you're looking at scale. And so we're lucky here in the UK. There's antibiotic and things like that here in the UK and Europe is not a thing. That's an American thing. Where do we consume most of our education from?
Yeah.
American sources of education online, on social media, that they're all having to worry about, like raised on hormones, antibiotics, things that we don't have that problem here yet. I'm not saying it's going to change, but we've got a far higher standard within the food system here in the UK and Europe. So I will literally go in to the supermarket and I will buy, like I say, the highest quality that I can afford. And most of the time that is like Sainsbury's. It's not basics, but it's like one level up from Sainsbury's basics.
Yeah.
With meat, you don't need to go and buy organic. You're still getting all of the same nutrients in that value meat that you're getting in the top-notch organic grass-fed.
Yeah. Interesting. Because I always hear like, grass-fed, grass-finished, buy organic. But it's true about the American sources of information infiltrating our feeds, and then we believe that's what we do here. But it's different.
And we're really guilty in the health industry, or we can be guilty of making health inaccessible.
Yes.
And it's like something that only wealthy people can afford. But actually, like, this is something where like you can be, I hate using the word optimally healthy, not buying organic meat, and just keeping your food shop incredibly simple. Things like, mince, chicken, some good dairy sources, like your yogurts, they're very cheap. Fade yogurt, cottage cheese, some parmesan, some fruits. And, you don't even have to go and get berries and things like that because they're more expensive than apples, which you can get pretty much all year round in the UK, apples.
Yeah. Frozen berries even.
Frozen berries.
Yeah.
And even better if they're like frozen UK berries.
Yeah.
Carrots.
Yeah.
Like stuff that we have used in the UK for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. Carrots, some of the other root vegetables that you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
These things are very cost effective, and they're also incredibly effective for your health.
No, it's true.
Problem comes in that temptation is there.
Yeah.
You start buying, and also time. We don't have that much time, most of us. and then we start relying on convenience, and convenience is really the enemy.
It's true. And that's where the harder things come in, the pre-prepared this, that, the other, the stir-fry sauces, stir-fry noodles, and pre-packed veggies in the bags. I always see those and I'm just like, oh no, don't select those. But for someone who's time short, quick and easy, done. It's hard.
It is.
I feel like we could just keep chatting, but I'm going to get to our last question, which is, what's in your bag? Before we wrap it up, I want to see what's in your bag.
Right. Do we have to pull out everything here?
Not everything. You can hand pick the things you want to share.
What do I do with them? Do I put them on the table?
Yeah.
Onto the table. Right. So here we go. What's in here? So first of all, my tech bag, which has got every plug.
Nice.
Every plug that you need for anywhere that you need to go. I've got a huge flask of water.
Nice.
In there.
That's heavy to carry around, but it's good.
Heavy. I've got this tiny umbrella because today it was raining when I left the house.
And in the UK, you need that at all times.
And I literally prep, I'd say 90% of my meals. And so this is...
Here we go. This is great.
I know. This is meal number 2. I had a big smoothie for breakfast with, lots of animal-based protein in there.
Yeah.
This is meal number 2. This is 5 eggs.
Yeah.
A 5-egg omelette with 2 chicken thighs and some chives and salt. So very basic.
I love that.
So
amazing.
There's like 50, 60 grams of protein in that bowl right there.
Yeah.
And I'll have that after we finish.
Yeah.
And then kind of like 3 or 4 hours later.
Oh my God, this is the best bag reveal.
It literally, it makes the bag very heavy.
Yeah.
But the reason I do this is because it's more cost effective than me buying stuff when I'm out. And also convenience is the enemy. Mm-hmm. And I know that by doing this is giving me the fuel that I need to pull long days every day and still actually be healthy. And so here I got 2 of these incredible burgers that my local butcher makes for me. I order these in like 50 or 60 at a time, and they always laugh whenever I put the order in over the phone. And they are just chuck steak in the burger. There's no additives. So I've got 2 burgers and I've got a large sweet potato.
This is amazing.
In there. So there's another like 50 to 60 grams of protein in there. Have I got any other snacks? Of course I do. There we go.
And a Rome
got
bar.
A Rome bar just in case.
This is amazing. I love this.
And yeah, that's kind
of... In glass Tupperware as well. We love it.
Yeah, always in glass Tupperware. That's it really. Oh, and my passport just in case I decide to go anywhere.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you so much for coming on. We really did touch on some topics that I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I needed to hear all these. I love what you're doing with Rome. As I mentioned, I'm not a meat consumer, but I get it so much. And like, maybe I will be a Rome bar consumer one day, but I'm getting there. But everyone's on their own health journey. And I just think that being a whole food brand that does real food is literally like what people need. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you loved hearing about all those nutritional facts and hot topics, then you're going to love next week's episode, as I am joined by Sarah, the co-founder of Citizens of Soil, an extra virgin olive oil brand which is really championing good quality olive oil. In this episode, we are going to dive into the benefits and the nutritional benefits of olive oil. Olive oil is honestly a superfood in itself. I'm obsessed with it. We all should be, and we should all be investing in a good quality oil. If you want to know why, press that follow and subscribe button so you're reminded next week when our next episode goes live on Tuesday. You're going to love next week's episode, so make sure you tune in. Thank you guys so much again, and see you next week.